Hi and welcome to the Porthos Knowledge Sharing webinar for CCS professionals. My name is Koen van der Weijden. I have the privilege of working as Knowledge and Collaboration Coordinator at Porthos. My role is to build collaborations and share knowledge with other CCS projects, and that's exactly what we are going to do today. I'm standing here at the place where it will soon happen, the Porthos compressor station. This will be the pumping heart of the CCS developments in the Rotterdam area. As you can see behind me, construction is making good progress. And that is why we felt this was the right moment to share some of the lessons that we have learned so far. At Porthos, we are convinced collaboration is key, working together to roll out CCS worldwide. By sharing our lessons, we hope that other projects and CCS professionals can develop their work even better and faster. This made me think of the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But my personal lesson from Porthos, if you want to go fast and far, collaborate and share knowledge. We are truly amazed by the enthusiasm and the number of people joining this webinar. It is wonderful to see so many of you interested in developing CCS and eager to learn from what is happening at Porthos. So, what will we do today? We are going to start with a Porthos overview and high-level lessons learned presented by our project director Hans Meeuwsen. We will continue with 11 breakout sessions on different topics, covering everything from commercial to technical. We have listened to the topics that many of you have suggested, thank you for that, and incorporated them into the teams as much as possible. You can find the links for the breakout sessions in the email and the website you received from me. All 11 sessions will be held twice, so you will have the opportunity to participate in 2 different sessions. For the second topic you would like to learn more about, click on the corresponding link on the website. We sincerely hope the lessons we are going to share with you today will be valuable for you and all of the inspiring projects that you are developing. We believe that just as this compressor station will be the pumping heart of Porthos, collaboration and sharing lessons can become the heartbeat of the rollout of CCS worldwide. Together we can go faster and further when it comes to the development of CCS and make an even greater contribution to achieving climate goals. Together we can work towards a sustainable future. And now, please enjoy the program. Let's get back to the Porthos office where Hans will be ready.
Good morning everybody and welcome at Porthos. I have the honor to present to you some of the learnings we have had at Porthos up to now, but I'll start with an overview of where we are in the project. The overview here gives you the timing and the agenda for today, and I'll start with our motto, which is decarbonize Rotterdam without deindustrializing. I think it's very important for us to achieve the decarbonization. That's part of our climate goals, but we want to do that without destroying the industry in Western Europe, Netherlands and Rotterdam. So that's the reason we have Porthos. If we look at Porthos, it consists of a number of things. If you look at it, we see a number of parts that we're looking at. First of all, we see, of course, that we have a long pipeline through Rotterdam where we collect the CO2 from our clients. 4 at this moment, but we're able to take more clients in the future. From that, we have a compressor station on the Rotterdam Maasvlakte, and from there we take it in a high-pressure pipeline to offshore and to our platform in the North Sea, where we pump it into depleted gas fields at over 3,500 meters depth. We're able to do 37 million tons in total in the storage facility, and we'll do that in 15 years at about 2.5 million tons a year. We will start doing that in gas phase with CO2, and we'll go to dense phase in a later stage when the storage fields are up to pressure. That in short is Porthos. Who's doing Porthos? Porthos is a public-private partnership where the investors are 3 state-owned companies, Port of Rotterdam, EBN, GasUnie. We have a number of private companies who are our customers and emitters, and which are Shell, ExxonMobil, Air Products, and Air Liquide. And of course, we have cooperated in a big way with also the government of the Netherlands and Europe for both funding, mandate, responsibility, but also adaptation of the national laws, as CO2 actually encompasses also changes in law. Because up to now it was just waste, and now it's becoming something that is going to be able to do more than that in the future. If you look at Porthos, Porthos is a start of development of CCS in the Netherlands. If you look at the future, we see a number of developments which we anticipate after Porthos. Porthos is a start, and we expect that we also are able to connect to Germany, to Belgium, and to connect to other stores in the North Sea, especially in the northern part of the North Sea. And moreover, we're able, I expect, to be able to cater for liquid CO2 from any other place in the world. So, that's Porthos, and that's the future of Porthos with other CCS projects coming. What we already do is cooperate in a big way with Aramis, for which we also facilitate some of the services needed to bring Aramis up to speed. If you look at our planning for the construction, Porthos is underway already for a long time, but we're now in the phase that we're looking at the construction of Porthos. What we're doing is, you see here part of our activities. We see the onshore pipeline, which is already largely constructed. It's planned for the first half of 2024 up to early 2026. The actual pipeline is already there. We're now doing the connection points. If you look at the compressor station, which is actually our critical path activity, we expect that to be ready by mid-2027. A cooling water intake building, separate building construction, is ready by the end of this year, early next year. Our platform modifications, we hope to complete that by the end of this year, maybe early next year. Bells will be ready by the end of this year, and the offshore pipeline is actually already finished. It's already constructed, it's already in the North Sea. If we then look at our history, looking back, which I will not do very long, it's a project that took already a number of years. Why did it take a number of years? Because a number of aspects. We started in 2017. We had, of course, a feasibility study, but we also took about 3 to 4 years to ultimately come to an agreement with our customers, but also with the joint ventures partners. Then, unfortunately, we had a court case for about 2 years with objections to our environmental permit, which in the end we were allowed to continue construction, but it delayed our project. We could take our final investment decision by October 2023, and we started at March 2024, and we hope to start our injection in the second half of 2026. If you look at what we have done pending the ruling, the court ruling, we were able to sign the contracts with our customers, which was very important, of course. We completed our FEED engineering. We received our irrevocable permits, and we also, meanwhile, have successfully decommissioned the complex well. Sorry. Where are we now? In detail, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. If you look at the compressor station, we have a plot of about 2 hectares. It consists of course, compressors. One of the main ingredients is of course electricity. We already have our connection to the grid achieved, cooling installations, and measuring and monitoring. Our vendors are listed as well, contractors and vendors for the materials, although I see that already one of them has changed his name from MAN to Everlands. This is the overview of the building. You see that we are connected to the Rotterdam Seaway port, and we have a number of buildings. I will not go to them in details, but you will see that we have a compressor building which facilitates up to 6 compressors, 3 at this moment, and in the later stage we can add 3 more to service, for instance, Aramis as a client. What we see when we look at that, and I'm going now to the onshore pipeline, is that this we achieved a lot of construction already. We have 30 kilometers of pipeline, low pressure, 30 bars in the ground. It's quite a substantial pipeline with about 42 inches, with multiple tie-ins. Most of them have already been created. And we have over-dimensioned this pipeline to be able to cater for about 10 megatons per year. In the construction, we did 4 horizontal directional drillings, which were all successful. And we had 59 special crossings, roads, railways, pipelines, all those kind of things. Difficult things to achieve. Also, if you're in the Netherlands, we had to cross some dikes, which is one of our difficult things in the Netherlands. Main contractor, De Nijs, main supplier of pipeline was Mannesman. If you look at the present status, the onshore pipeline is constructed and complete. The connection of all the stations has almost been done. We have done the hydro tests for the pipeline. We are now working on the connection of the onshore pipeline or the offshore pipeline. At this moment, we are working on the compressor station, which is almost, no, not almost ready, it's in due process. We've seen pictures about it. And we have 7 buildings under construction, including the cooling water pump building, which is next to it, where we reached the highest point. Work is progressing up to now on schedule. If we look at the offshore pipeline, it is a pipeline that is slightly smaller than the onshore pipeline. We had it connected through the seawall, very important in the Netherlands, a length of 22 kilometers and a 16-inch pipeline. If we look at the well conversion scope, where we convert the old gas field, gas production field, we have 6 gas production wells on there, which have been installed in the 1990s. So that's quite a long time ago. And what we're doing now, and while we're working on this year, is to convert these wells. We will have 2 wells which we will decommission. They will not be used for injection of CO2, but we have 4 we will convert to CO2 injection wells. We are working on that, and we are, as you can see, we have already installed the connection to the offshore pipeline as well. If we go to the platform of P18A, conversion from gas production to CO2 injection, you will have additional information about how we did that in the next sessions is quite, I would say, new process in the sense that we have not seen many examples of this before. It has, we needed a lot of preparation for that, inspections, infrastructure modifications. We had to design some of the new CO2 facilities, and of course we needed to arrange permits for that, which is also new. Conversion has started, actually is almost completed now, and we had to start with the demolition of the existing equipment, which took quite a while. We are now in the process of constructing the new systems, and we expect to be able to finish that in a short period. Here you see in short of where we are at this moment. The offshore pipeline has been already completed. We have transformed the former gas production. We have done 3 of the 4 production wells. We are now working on the 4th one, and we already decommissioned 2 wells, and we still have to do 1 more. We have been demolishing the old equipment. We are installing new tie-ins, and have installed a new tie-in and the new riser, and we started on the fabric maintenance. If we look of where we are at this moment, I think we are rather on schedule, and we expect to be operating by the end of next year. So that in short, I think, was what I would like to say about it, and I think now we have some messages from our sponsors and shareholders. Thank you very much.
What the main challenge is in energy transition is that it's not only about the technology. The main important thing is also trust, since developing this new market requires different players in the value chain to collaborate together and to create trust amongst each other to make that step together. The focus should be on speed and scale. So first of all, we don't need to lose any more time to make sure we deliver our projects. But scale is also important to make the system affordable for everyone. From the perspective of EBN, it's part of our public mission to help accelerate the energy transition. And we do that by developing and sharing knowledge, but also by delivering projects. For example, Porthos. We need to remove barriers together, and I think it's also really important to align on policy to make sure that we really make a step ahead in developing this CCS value chain. And cooperation is key in making it a success together.
I think the most important lesson for me is that CCS is very complex, and you can only make it work if all parties work together in a very transparent and constructive manner. That's I think the true lessons learned that we have learned in Porthos, but we also see in different CCS projects. I think CCS is very important for the gas new organization. We are building new infrastructure for district heating, for hydrogen, but also for CO2, obviously. We do that because we strongly believe that CCS is important to help industries to decarbonize. Many industries don't have a different option than to go for a CCS solution. And without CCS, in the long term, they will probably leave Europe. And we believe the industry is vital for a vibrant European economy. So therefore we believe CCS is very important for that. The focus of attention for CCS, in my view, should be on multiple areas. It should be on advancing the technology. It should be on reducing the cost for the emitters. It should be on regulation to ensure we can have an open, transparent market. So the focus of attention should not be on one area, but actually on multiple areas.
For us, the most important lessons are that we as a port, we play an instrumental role in bringing all the parties involved in the Porthos project together. Ensuring that the entire chain is being involved in the beginning of the project, I think that gave momentum for the project. If you look at the Rotterdam area and the industries, I think the industries have a hard time already. You have to have a possibility to reduce emissions in an early stage. And I think without CCS, I think it's very difficult to get that. I think it's very instrumental that these hard-to-abate industries stay in Europe and also help us to be more autonomous and ensuring that we have a very good industry cluster for the future. Focus for CCS for the upcoming years is, in my perspective, to ensure that we have a number of core projects. I think it's the Delta Rhine corridor, it's Aramis to really get a scale-up going, but in my opinion also it is ensuring that there are more projects around the world. It becomes maybe more competitive for Porthos and maybe for future projects here. But I think if we want to do that, if we really want to get that goal, then start making a system, start ensuring that you have the full basis covered and ensuring that you get a chain going.
That in short were some messages from our shareholders. We're now going to focus on high-level lessons that Porthos has learned over the period that we're working on this project. And I'll start with the first lesson, and you have to be aware that CCS involves diverse number of stakeholders, often also different cultures, sectors and backgrounds. And you have to proactively turn this diversity into value and maintain it throughout the project. We've seen in Porthos that we come from 3 different shareholders, but we also cater for different companies and we also deal with the government. That is something that you have to be aware of and you have to take into account and you have to actively manage that, because that is an element you cannot take into account that you have all the same people who speak exactly the same language with the same background. I think that is something that we learned over the time that we need to pay attention to, and we did that and we continue to do that throughout the project. So that's the first lesson we tell you. Commercial companies, state-owned companies, national government, it's not always the same language. Please pay attention to that. That's the first lesson we would like to give you on a high level. Second one, actually a follow-up on that, you can't do it alone. If you look at the CCS chain, you have to be sitting down with the entire chain to develop it together. There are, it's usually a CCS chain is too big to do it all alone, especially if you want to do it with a collecting pipeline with a number of companies that are actually connected to that, going to probably also a number of stores on the other end. Please do it. Don't try to do it all alone. Be involved in the total chain and connect with all the chain partners on that. That's the second one. Sit down with the entire chain and develop it together. Third lesson, or actually a follow-up on this one. Emitters, shareholders and governments, and we even have competitors at the table, and work out especially the common interests that you have. And also involve the government from day one. Build trust through joint working groups, meet frequently together and be fully transparent about the needs and the returns. And the last lesson in that category is keep transport and possibly even storage together on the one ownership. It ensures alignment and efficiency. Capture can be managed separately and probably will be done by the emitters themselves, as we've done. You can split transport and storage, but no, we have been very successful in keeping it together. Next lesson learned. There are about 100 reasons not to do CCS, but one shared reason is enough to go ahead, just do it. We've seen a number of projects which have stumbled upon a number of difficulties. We think it's very important to do it. For us, decarbonizing Rotterdam industry without deindustrializing is very important. And we want to keep the companies here. Companies want to stay here, but they want to have a license to operate within the new environment. Don't hesitate, engage with government and with clients to get this started. It is, in that sense, there is no real alternative for clean energy at this moment. There's not enough green electricity to create green hydrogen at this moment. In the Netherlands, there's also not enough transport capacity. So there's a clear reason to do it. The next one, what we have learned over time is that CO2 requires a new way of working beyond the business as usual as is used in oil and gas, for instance. I think one of the things that we use here is it is like oil and gas, but not exactly. It's same, but different. So be aware of that. It is a new way of working. This applies to both the contracts, the legislation, the financing, also the safety and the knowledge. Keep this in mind in every aspect of your project. Although it looks a lot like everything you've already seen in oil and gas, it's slightly different. So be aware of that. One of the things, for instance, in what we have learned, you have to be aware that the gas that you're pumping into the store is not an asset anymore, it's a liability. So you have to be very well aware of that if you look at financing and all those things. It is also different in safety aspects. CO2 is heavier than air and will go down. Its methane is going up. It's different. So you have to be aware of that. Same, but different. You have to work explicitly, empower everyone in the chain, and identify and address missing skills. Look at that and be aware of that, and take care that you get the expertise that you absolutely need in this area. And the last one in this area, I think, is the fact that CO2 must be stored rather than sold changes everything. It returns the risk allocation, the liabilities. You can't simply build on a gas industry experience one-on-one. Be fully aware of that. Next lesson learned is you have to align early on the requirements, operations and processes. You have to design it as one system. Also an important lesson. And you have to, looking back at how we did, I think we would have benefited a little bit more if we would have mapped all requirements from all the disciplines and all the customers and stakeholders early on, and put a strong focus on especially the interfaces between the different people and interested parties. And of course, if you have multiple parties involved, look at spec breaks especially, and also document all your assumptions. So that you can actually trace back what you have assumed at a certain moment and validate those, because you know what they say about assumptions. What we also learned is involve the later operator very early. Bring the operations in already during the concept phase. What Porthos has done is that we have had an operator, but we would have wished that we had brought them in a little bit earlier and probably a little bit more up to speed by the time we are starting building. So be aware that you need a lot of people within the operations as well. And something we, looking back, could have done a little bit better than we did, is pay a strong attention to process safety. And you have to be very diligent operating on that one as well. Take care that you have that under control. Last one is we absolutely benefit from having running in parallel both the construction but also the business process modeling. Within our company it's called PIMS, the Porthos management system, integrated management system, and they have to be run in parallel. And we absolutely recommend that you do that as well. Business process modeling, BPM, is I think an essential part of developing CCS storage. Next one is thank you. That was the last overall recommendation. I think we are a little bit ahead of schedule. I think we continue later. I'm looking at my assistant.
I want to invite people in the session. If you have any questions to Porthos on the high level, we of course have our sessions that we will continue with on specific subjects. But if you have any questions on a high level to Hans, we kindly invite you to put them in the chat, and I will read them to Hans, and he will try his best to answer them, I guess. So let's see if we have any questions coming up. Not yet so far. Maybe anyone has come up with a question. Yeah, can you elaborate on PIMS? There was this lesson on the screen where PIMS was stated.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell something about that, Hans.
PIMS is actually writing down all your processes and procedures. And that is something we have done, and we've done it both for the development phase, and we also have done it specifically and extensively for the operating phase. It helps you to make clear what kind of processes you have within the company and within the CCS project. And it is also within the Netherlands a requirement to have a management system for licenses, but I think it certainly helps a lot if you have both your infrastructure and your processes aligned while you're working on the construction of your CCS transport and storage system. It certainly helped us a lot, so I can recommend that. Business process modeling.
Okay, thank you for that. I have another question here in the chat. It's about what would be the total capex that is involved?
Total capex of Porthos has been published and is 1.3 billion euros for all the investments.
All right. And another question from Ahmed coming in. Are there any learnings related to the construction's execution?
Up to now, I think the construction has been largely in line with what we expected. Of course, like in every other project, we have had some mishaps of equipment failure or things that didn't work out exactly as we planned, because especially I would say within the platform we saw some of the materials were quite old and needed replacement, which we hadn't anticipated. But in total, I think the construction has gone as planned. I have no specific learnings on that, but I think in the follow-up sessions you could specifically on, for instance, the repurposing of the wells or the platform, whether there are specific issues that they have encountered in that area.
Yes, I totally agree on that. That will be a good session if you're interested in looking for the lessons on the construction. I have a question from Erik Herema. He is wondering, how does Porthos ensure the specs of the CO2 meets the requirements?
We ensure the specs of the CO2 in a number of ways. First, of course, we have detailed agreements with our customers on that, but we also have for a number of critical specifications or critical pollutants from the CO2, we have safeguarding installed, which means that the injection in the collection line will be stopped as soon as it goes over a certain threshold. Moreover, the benefit we have as Porthos is with having multiple clients that we will see that there will be some dilution of any pollutant. But if any single customer is going off spec, we don't expect that at this moment, and the most critical elements are safeguarded and are measured and monitored on a continuous basis. But you have to be, and I think there is probably a session about that, there is the CO2 specification is quite critical because CO2, especially with some of the pollutants that could be in there, could be rather aggressive and could be corrosive. So you have to be very well aware of that and take that into account.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I have Helena here asking, because we shared a lesson about combining transport and storage in one project, and she's wondering, please, can you give the reason why keeping transport and storage together is important? Does that mean from the emitter fence line, and would it include emissions via shipping?
I think we see for our project, which is the first of its kind in the Netherlands, that we benefited to have an integral view on that. I don't think it is necessarily the only market model that you could do, but what we have seen is that it allows you to have a full view on the flow insurance and to align both storage characteristics and transport characteristics. I think with further development of the value chain, you probably are able to disconnect transport and storage, and we see that for the follow-up project in the Netherlands as well, where we have probably transport and storage separated. I think we've benefited from the fact that we had it integrated. If you can do that, I think it's probably in a much easier coordination than if you have it separate. It's not an absolute must, but we think we enjoyed it, at least within one team, having everything together.
All right, perfect. Well, Diana Rodriguez asked if we could expand on the last lesson learned, building your business case on parallel with the design, but that is actually a bit going into the last thing you said. We also have questions from Bart and Christiane asking, do you have already sold all the offshore CO2 pipeline capacity? And what is actually the total capacity that we have?
We have overcapacity on the onshore pipeline. We ourselves do 2.5 million tons a year, but we can do 10 million tons or even a little bit more on the onshore pipeline. Compressor station can be expanded. to do more than 10, I think even 12 million tons a year. And our offshore pipeline is also having some overcapacity, not in the same range as we have on the onshore, but is overdimensioned, and we are able to do a little bit more in the offshore pipeline as well.
All right. And what does it change if you go from gas to dense phase on the requirements of the CO2 quality? Well, actually, I would like to refer for this question to a breakout session that we are going to do, which is one of the first Peter Corson is doing, which is about impurities and the CO2 specs. That will be a 30-minute deep dive on exactly this subject. So if you'd like to know more about this, I would definitely recommend to go there. By the way, you will find the links for the breakout sessions on the website that you have already used to enter this session. It's the same website. Let's see if we have some other questions. I have another question here from, I think, Siri Vincent. Do you see opportunities to expand Porthos as a part of a wider network of transport and storage in Europe?
We certainly do. As I said, we already foresee connections to both Belgium and Germany, and I know the European Commission is looking at connecting also other countries to this system, so that we could have, in the end, I think, European-wide transport network which allows also other countries to store their CO2 in the storage, for instance, in the Netherlands, but also in the UK and Norway. So I think there are a number of empty gas fields in the North Sea and a little bit higher than that, and that is something we have to take. I would take that opportunity to also store CO2 from other countries there. Be aware that we still think that the CCS solution is one that is a temporary solution. It's not to be a solution for the next 100 years. It is a solution we see to allow the energy transition to green and facilitate that, but not as, I think, an endless storage facility. We don't see that. It is a transition industry.
Thank you. We already also shared a slide at the start of the webinar about the network that we are building around Rotterdam area, which is also Porthos, but also Aramis and all the other projects around. And we have another question from Rebecca Groen. She's wondering, how do you overcome the cross-chain risk issues?
Cross-chain risk issues. I think we will have connecting networks, and if that is, if I interpreted the question correctly, if you have multiple chains connecting, how do you secure the safety of the specifically probably the CO2? I think we will have measuring points also at the connection points where chains are connecting. So we will have safeguarding and a number of places to take care that we won't get any polluted CO2 in our main system and avoid corrosion. Is that, I hope that is covering the question.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. We saw a few technical questions as well. Maybe I can help you direct to the right session for that. We see, for example, the drying equipment, which how do we do that? If you are interested in drying, the most best session to go to is also on the CO2 specs. Then we have the metallurgy of the injection wells. The well session Frans Smits is going to present in a few moments is perfect for that as well. And we also see a question on specific contaminants, which also is covered by our breakout session about impurities. As well as the next question from Sarah Yao, which components are monitored, and how do we handle that? And then we have another question which might be good for this session, which is being the first of a kind project in the Netherlands, authorities have to build up their own experience as well. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the interaction you had?
Yes, what we see as a first of a kind project is that we interact, of course, with the ministries, which on the one hand is very positive about the project, and the other hand, they want to also, especially if you look at the permits, they look at Porthos as also setting the example. That means that we are exploring together, and the ministry from their viewpoints and we from our own viewpoints, of course, what could be the best way of permitting, of looking at that. It has taken care of the fact that what it resulted in is that our permitting process is taking much longer than we had anticipated. And it also meant that, for instance, some of the laws had to be changed because CO2 up to, I think, 1.5 years ago was considered as a waste product, and there was a waste tax on that, which was not actually in line with the European rules and regulations. That has been changed because that would have made the business case completely impossible. So what you see overall is that you have to interact with the government and see whether this complete new application or new industry does that fit within the existing rules and regulations. It sometimes doesn't. Also the fact that you do not have a gas reservoir that you empty, but you have one that you fill, also requires that you have to take a good look at the rules and regulations according to the mining regulations. And that's what we are experiencing at this moment. So everybody, there's at this moment not a standard. We are setting, at least in the Netherlands, I think Porthos is as first of the kind also setting the rules and regulations together with government. I mean, we're not the ones making the rules, but we interact with the government to see how they can accommodate us. At the same time, they want to be absolutely sure that everything is safe and sound as we build it and operate it.
Okay, thank you for that. I see another question on safety measures that we took into consideration for transporting CO2 through a major city, and another question on how do we handle aging for offshore facilities and pipelines. For both of those questions, I would like to refer also to the safety breakout session that we are also organizing, which is called HSE in CCS environments by Jan Jager. And also we have process safety, which is also a specific breakout session, which might be very interesting if you're interested in this topic. Then we have somebody wondering what the lifespan is that you anticipate for these infrastructures.
I think if you look at Porthos' lifespan regarding if we do the actual 2.5 million tons a year, which our customers are likely to do, then we will be able to produce about 15 years. Is that also the lifespan of our pipelines and our compressor station? No. I think the pipeline and compressor station will have a lifespan of about, say, 25 years, or even, I think, even longer. This will allow us to continue the CCS production line up to 2050, when we have all agreed that we would, by that time, have ceased to use fossil fuels in our industries. It gives us time to convert to green energy sources, and even possible to continue after that to get negative emissions if we want to reduce the CO2 in the atmosphere, if we still have storage capacity in the North Sea.
Okay. Then I have two questions at the same time for you, Hans, if you're okay with that. First, somebody's asking how much of the total budget in this project planning to allocate to CCS monitoring. I'm not sure if we can answer that. I think we have to look it up. But in case we don't have a quick answer to that, the next question would be how timelines and development pace across transport and storage facilities are contractually coordinated. Have we used joint development agreements, or are there any penalties in place?
If we look at Porthos, we have, of course, a joint development agreement with our customers. We have a joint development agreement also with Aramis to assist them with their development. We coordinate and we have close coordination meetings on our progress. View the fact that it's all new, there are no large penalties involved in schedule overruns at this moment, because what we have seen is that there are significant risk in the scheduling. For instance, like a court case that we had, it took us back 2 years. If you have a normal project, which is one of a 500, you probably know exactly the risk and the process that is going to be involved. And you probably can allocate that risk to one of the parties, or share that, or insure it, or whatever. In this case, as first of its kind project, there are, of course, joint development agreements, close cooperation, but there are no specific liabilities and risk allocated to parties on that.
Okay. Then I see one last question in the chat as well, but I would like to refer for this question to be answered in the finance breakout session. But the question is, how would the project handle the financial impacts and by uncertainties of the future CO2 pricing? Which is a very interesting question, I would say. Well, this would be the right moment, I think, Hans, to close this session and to leave us with some instructions for how to get to the breakout sessions. And as for myself, I'm going to rush to the Porthos compressor station, as I have to be there in a few seconds, I think.
Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you very much.
I hope you found that last session valuable. We'll now take a short break until 10:30. After the break, you can choose which meeting to join using the links we shared with you earlier. Once you're in the chosen session, the speaker will guide you on how the questions will be handled, and there will also be a technical support available. If you run into any issues, just drop a message in the chat and our team will help you right away. As a quick reminder, please keep your microphone muted when you enter the meeting room, and if possible, we'd love you to keep your camera on. Enjoy the break, recharge for a moment, and we see you back at 10:30 for the next round of sessions.